Hello, everyone. My name is Sarup Paul. I am a product manager here at ServiceNow, and today we are going to talk about knowledge management and what's new in London. Um, and I know people are joining from different parts of the world, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening from wherever you are joining. We are doing this telecast from our India offices, so it's pretty much late in our evening. But we wanted to share a lot of details, so here we go. With me, we have Loknath. Loknath is also a product manager in our team and focuses on knowledge.
Hello, everyone.
So, as I get started, what I wanted to do was do a quick recap of our recent releases. For most of you who have attended these webinars in the past, we have done these in Jakarta and Kingston. Prior to that, we did a few in the series to help our customers adopt V3. So now for this release, I'm going to talk about um, London. So in London, we have done quite a few features. So starting with actionable feedback, where we have worked on feedback management. So when you get a feedback, you're able to handle that through a task. We have introduced knowledge blocks for having content that can be reused into multiple articles, user criteria diagnostics, um, for helping you diagnose issues around access control. London was also the release where Workspace came out, and within that, we have a component called as Agent Assist, and we have knowledge and community showing up there. We'll talk a little bit about PA dashboard, and talk about the reports that we have been started shipping through PA. For those with CSM, customer service management use cases, SEO was also added in this release of London. And then finally, we also got ourselves certified on KCS in this release. And we'll talk about that as well. Okay, so with that, let me get started. First feature is actionable feedback. Um, what this feature does is allows you to manage any negative feedback that you get through a task, and through that task you can interact with the person who gave the feedback and have a closed loop interaction. So if you get the feedback, being able to interact with the person who gave the feedback for the clarifications, and then being able to close the feedback task, whether it is whether to accept the changes that you make to the article or not. Out of the box, we set it up for a few trigger conditions, helpful for helpful feedback and rating. I'll just correct myself there. It's you can configure these, but it's not as a settings. We don't set it out of the box so that all of us don't get a feedback bunch of feedback tasks. Also, using version control, which was released back in Jakarta, these feedback tasks can be traced back to a new version of the article. So you can actually look at the article and say, hey, version 2.0 was based upon this specific feedback from a user. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a quick demo for this feature, and that will be the pattern for the rest of our webinar as well. We'll introduce a feature and then go into a demo. So for this demo, I'm going to take the persona of George. George is a customer or an end user and is going to look at an article from the knowledge homepage. For some of you, the knowledge homepage that I'm showing here is the knowledge management service portal page, which was introduced back in Jakarta. And this is where we are doing most of our development of new features and all. I'll cover this in a little bit detail because we have seen some conversations going on about this. So we'll cover that towards the end of this presentation. So back to actionable feedback. I'm going to quickly open an article from this homepage. And in this particular article, George is going to leave a feedback for this article saying that, hey, give a poor rating. And whenever there is a rating or a feedback that is quote unquote negative, the system will pop a feedback prompt. And these things are configurable, what reasons you are seeing in here. For this case, George is just going to say that, hey, the article contains incorrect information, and hit submit. What this does is creates a task in the backend for the user, John Adams. I'm going to switch to that user, and we're going to work on that feedback task. So go in as John Adams, and John can look at the feedback task assigned to him. In this case, a feedback task is getting assigned to him because he was the last person who revised that article. So feedback tasks get routed to either the author of the article or the reviser of the latest version of that article. In an upcoming release, actually in Madrid, we are going to introduce something around article ownership groups where this feedback can be sent to uh, more than one person. But for at least for London, you have this feedback task getting assigned to the person who last worked on that article, in this case, John. A knowledge admin or or a system admin can reassign this task if they need to. So for the purpose of this, what John says is that there is not much information available in this feedback. John can ask for information, and as soon as he sets the state to awaiting information, he's prompted to add some information. Hi, George. So update this task. Um, Knowledge feedback tasks, as you can see here, is separate than the knowledge feedback. So in our system, we also have the knowledge feedback. So all feedback is still registered. Only in certain cases, certain trigger conditions, knowledge feedback tasks get created, and you can actually look at the feedback task and like based on which article, who submitted it, and all those details are available for us to report on. So now I'm going to go and look at this feedback and the task that went back to George. What I'll notice here is George will get an email that, hey, we need some more information, and George can click on that. This opens up that task in the portal, and George can provide images related to older version. George can post that information. Now, these events are actually triggering emails. So in this case, John, who was working on this task, will get an email, and this will continue. For the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to directly go to the feedback task, and you'll see that George's comments have shown up. So what John decides to do is to edit the article. For editing the article, he first needs to check it out. And as they're modifying the article, makes a change. Keep the demo short. I'm not going into full-on updating the article. I'll quickly save this and hit publish. Since this knowledge base is triggered, is connected to instant publish workflow, this article will get published. And what will also happen is the article that got created from this will have the feedback task associated with it. So you will actually know that this article, the latest version of that article, version 3.0, is actually associated with that feedback task. Now let me go back to George, and George would have now received another email. Let's just give it. The system cannot send out emails fast enough, it seems like. Anyways, I'll probably come back to this in a second here. So George will receive an email saying that this task has been, article has been resolved. Let me just make sure that I did update the article on the other side. Oh, that's why. it didn't happen. Okay, so for John to close on this, John can say that, okay, I've resolved this article, says I've updated this article, um, and update the feedback task. So this would now shoot that email back to George. So George receives the email, and because we said it is a closed loop process, so I wanted to show you this, right? So George can look at this information and can actually accept or reject the task. We'll follow the happy path here, and when George accepts this feedback task, that's the only time that the feedback task is marked as closed. So it moves to resolve state when John has added more information and updated the article. But for it to really close, the end user has to accept the feedback task, and that's why it's a closed loop process. So through this feedback management, you can actually cater to all the feedback that you're receiving, specifically the negative feedback, and using that you will be able to address any changes that the users are requesting. And this is important because your users will have more faith in the knowledge base when any feedback that they provide is being taken into action, and that builds more loyalty towards the knowledge base. So that was actionable feedback. I'm going to move on to the next feature, and we'll take questions towards the end of this presentation. So next feature is knowledge blocks. Knowledge blocks is a way to have articles created, smaller articles created. We call them as blocks, and have them inserted into another article. The clear purpose here is to provide reusability. So you may have a piece of text that you want to reuse across multiple articles, and while being able to manage that piece of text independently, and so that you don't have to update multiple articles when that reusable piece of text has to be changed. So that's why there is knowledge blocks, and also what it provides is an ability to um, secure content, have the same article, and secure content based upon who is viewing that article. So for example, you can have a piece of the article that is viewable only to a certain segment of your audience, maybe people in one geography versus another geography. So we'll show you a demo of this using a use case of HR, um, and we'll see how it works. Um, so let me jump into that. But before that, so the feature works. The access is still based upon user criteria. So most of you are familiar with user criteria that was introduced in the product back in Fuji. We still use user criteria to secure the article, so it's familiar to you. So talking about knowledge blocks, I'm going to um, switch to John here, and I'm going to start creating a new article. Knowledge blocks can be enabled at a KB level. So for this particular demo, I have enabled it for the knowledge KB, and you can enable which KBs has it enabled. So let's do this. We're going to do a leave policy document, and we're going to add a couple of blocks to this. So I added one for hourly employees, hourly US employees, and then the next one that I'm adding is salaried US employees. So as of now, blocks works in the standard article template. So in one of the text boxes, you can the standard text box, you will see these articles. You can have more content written around it. So main content. and let's submit this. So we have also given with this release a diagnostic UI specifically for blocks. So as a user, you can go into the view mode. So you'll see preview article with blocks. And what we'll see here is John here as an admin sees these articles, sees the article with both the pieces. But if I were to, let's say, add see this based upon a specific user, let's say we pick up Abel, one of our favorite users, Abel just sees the salad piece of content. Or whereas if we pick up Byron, we would see the hourly piece of content. Obviously, you have to be smart in how you add the content into the main box. So, for example, subcontent one, subcontent two is showing here. You would ideally add that into the block article, and you can manage your blocks separately. You can create those blocks as you go, and blocks can, as I said earlier, are enabled at a knowledge base level. So this feature actually provides you reusability of this content. So if I go back and look at all the published blogs, I would be able to go into this maybe this hourly employees one, and I can edit this particular content. It also has the full versioning features and all of that. And as soon as I make change on this, every article that is reusing this particular block will be able to get the update. So you're getting the best of both worlds, reusability along with control over who updates which piece of content. So that was knowledge blocks. I'm going to move on to the next feature, which is user criteria diagnostics. So we did get a lot of feedback from customers such as yourselves on managing user criteria. As you know, we have can read, cannot read, can contribute, cannot contribute permissions at the knowledge base level. And then at an article level, you have can read and cannot read permissions. And through various configurations, one can reach a scenario where you're not able to discern why an article or a knowledge base has access for a particular user or not. So to make things easier, we added this feature for user criteria diagnostics. And this actually, let me show the demo. You will see how it helps you in troubleshooting any scenarios that you may have with access control. So user criteria diagnostics, there is a specific menu item for this. It also shows up at a knowledge base level or an article level, and you can do the diagnosis of an from there as well. And when you come from a knowledge or an article level, these things are pre-populated. So for example, let's pick up Able, and we want to see what access Able has on this IT knowledge base. So you'll be able to see that at a broad level, this Able has read access, and you can see because of which user criteria does Able get the read access. On the same knowledge base, I can pick up another. So for the same user, I can pick up another knowledge base. Able is the responsible for IT knowledge base or has access to an IT knowledge base, but he may not have access to the customer service knowledge base. So they will see when you diagnose this, you will see no access. And it also tells you how you can provide access to Able. So you can add Able to one of the available user criteria, which is for can contribute or can read. As you know, if you have contribute access, you also get read access. If a user has, let's say, both read and contribute access, for example, in this case, let's pick up John Jason, and John Jason on the same customer service knowledge base has the access. So it will tell you read and contribute access. You can do the same thing for articles. So let's pick up, let's pick up this article, and you can do that at a version by version level. You can see that John does not have any access at this article level, and you can actually see how John may get access, whether at the KB level, and if there was an article level access, that will also show up here, and you can look at this. So with this feature, you are able to diagnose very easily what access control a user has on an article or a knowledge base, and then why they have or do not have access to that. As I was mentioning, it also shows up at the knowledge base level. So there is a new UI action available to run user criteria diagnostics, and if I run it from there, it actually pre-populates this. So it makes it contextual, so you can do it very easily. You don't have to find this particular menu item from your application navigator. So that is user criteria diagnostics. Next, I'm going to move on to Agent Assist on Workspace. As most of you heard during the Knowledge 18 conference, we released our Workspace product. And Workspace is in limited availability for the London release. We are working towards general availability in our future releases. And it's a new paradigm where you are able to see your list of tasks, cases, incidents that are assigned to you, and then able to work on multiple tasks, incidents at the same time, and then be able to get all the information without having to click a lot of pages or scroll up and down. So what the knowledge team built as a part of the agent workspace was the agent assist feature. And what it does is, as you can see from this screenshot here, it shows the agent assist in context of a particular case here. And so you can be working on multiple cases and see the information. We moved from the horizontal scroll to a vertical UI. So compared to the contextual search results that you're used to on the platform UI, here you can see it on the right hand side. So you can easily research. You can scroll on the left pane or the right pane. And what we also did was added integration with communities. So communities is a product that we released in Jakarta. It's currently available up until the London release for CSM customers only. For CSM customers who are using communities, they will be also able to see communities content on the Agent Assist like this. I'll show you the demo quickly. Communities also is being worked on for availability for non-CSM customers as well in a future release. So for a quick demo on this, I'm going to open up the agent workspace, and I'm going to see a list of cases assigned here. So like I said, I'm not doing a full demo on agent workspace, but if I were to do that, I can open up multiple cases at the same time. And then for any given case, I can look at information separately. And most of the important information for me is available at my eye level. And you see information such as the contact, the timeline, and SLAs if there are any. So the agent assist part of it, as you are seeing here, it shows content from communities and articles all embedded here within, and you can do, attach the article directly from here, mark it helpful, flag it, or view the full article as well. So I can click on the article, see it here, and while doing that, I can compare my notes and all of that. I can look at it here. I can do the attach from this UI as well. I can do a full article, and that will open up the article in a full UI for any other actions that you may want to do. So that was agent assist, and in this view you can do things like filtering based upon the content type, like articles, pinned articles, questions, community content, and all of that. There's more coming on this, so we're looking forward to showing you more on this in future releases as well. So that was agent assist. As for knowledge, you are able to access the information very easily and be able to solve incidents and cases easily as you're working through this and working on multiple cases at the same time without having to click to multiple tabs and multiple UIs. So moving on, the next feature that we're talking about is the PA dashboards. So performance analytics dashboards for knowledge were also shipped with the London release. If you have PA licenses, you will be able to access them. Through the dashboards, you are able to see usage trends, so things like article views, search KPIs, like click-through rate. You can also see governance related information like time to publish, validity of the articles, and then also quality. So AQI, Article Quality Index, a feature that we released in the Kingston timeframe. We have created quick dashboard for that, and also look at feedback reports. So I'm going to jump into a quick demo for PA dashboards. So what you are seeing here is the content usage dashboard. So here you can see month over month, your article views, your searches, and all of that information and how they are trending. On the right hand side, you see click-through rate. So click-through rate measures how many times an article was clicked from knowledge search results. This includes contextual search as well. So if you search results were displayed and something was clicked, then it accounts for the numerator. So you can say, hey, it's basically saying this is 20%. So 1 out of 5 times after seeing the results, somebody's clicking through. Obviously, this is not a great number. You would want click-through rates to be upwards of 50 or 60% to indicate that you have a very healthy relevancy score in your environment. Another indicator that we have also provided is average click rank. So if the user actually is clicking on a search result, from the top of the search results, the number one search result being 1, what is the index, or which is the search result that was clicked? A lower number usually is better, means that in the first few results, they're able to find what they were looking for. So in this case, 1.69 is actually not a bad number. It means that on an average, they're clicking on between the first and the second search result. We also added a search terms trending report. So you can actually look at what terms are trending in a given month. So for example, if I go back to I can look at this. So if I see security was searched on a lot of times, I can actually click on this and look at how it trend. And actually, because I clicked on security, I can see which other search terms were actually searched with it. And looking at related records, you can see who searched on it, the number of search results that were returned. So obviously, in this case, where the results are 0, it's not a great number, but these are your search terms trending report. Very helpful if you are trying to improve your knowledge base. So you're looking at search terms, what are being searched, and then you can probably look at if you have enough sufficient articles in those areas or not. Content governance, moving on to the next tab there, you can see average time to publish, percentage of articles published, the time to publish, how it is trending. In content quality, you will be able to see AQI, Article Quality Index. As you may remember, AQI is a feature that allows you to score an article on a top of 100. And so 64% basically says that based on the survey that was done on that article, how many times the article, how much did the article score on an average. You can actually click through on this and look at the individual scores that articles received and look at that. For more details on AQI, please refer to the Kingston version of this webinar, where we have delved deep into what the AQI features are. And then some other feedback reports like percentage of articles flagged and ratings and other things that you can actually review. So that's PA dashboards. Next thing that we have is search engine optimization. And this is particularly important for customer service management use cases where you are doing self-service over public support sites. So if you have a public support site and you have configured it to be searched and indexed by a search engine like Google, you have features provided out of the box that allows you to improve the relevancy of that article through what is called as SEO meta tags, SEO search engine optimization meta tags. So out of the box, we provide meta tags for the article view page, which is usually what users would look at based on title and descriptions. And if you're using article templates, then you can put specific text fields from your article templates to be included into those meta tags. What these does is tells Google or a search engine like that, hey, the content in these meta tags is important. And when users are searching for content in that, Google prioritizes those searches and hence improves the findability of those articles from public search engines. Please note that for so knowledge bases that are not public, these will not be this will not be applicable. Only if a search knowledge base is public and can be accessed through the internet without a login, will this be effective? And if you have configured, also if you have configured Google to crawl your website. And overall, you want your knowledge articles to be found on Google. Google is the de facto search, for a lot of end users. And when they find that article and they're able to resolve it for themselves, that is essentially a deflection, improving self-service, and they would not come to create a case. Hence, very important from self-service statistics perspective. So how does that look like? So I will show you what few things that we have done. So first of all, the knowledge portal, KB portal article view page has some meta tags. So you can add meta tags for description field. Also, you can create dynamic page titles. So the page title that you see here, like IT configuration and probably not this one, but we can pick up another one that George was seeing. For example, the page title that shows up for this one, customer service, it shows consumer service, it shows the knowledge base and then the article. This was configured in the system, and you'll see it here, right? You see the knowledge base and the short description, and that's how it shows. And if a piece of text is in the title, Google usually will find that article more relevant than others. You can also configure meta tags. So description is a meta tag that SEO recognizes, and you can configure the meta tag to contain content from multiple fields. So KB category, knowledge base, and meta description. You can configure this to get the data from multiple fields. For article templates, if you remember in the Kingston release, we added the capability to have articles shown in multiple templates. So you can have multiple fields in a given article. So KCS article is one of those templates that we gave as a part of the Kingston release. And you can also decide which field from this template, because there are multiple fields now that where you can enter the content, is added in the SEO description tag. So allows you to control at a template by template level which field is actually shown. These SEO meta tags actually, as I mentioned earlier, will help in improving the relevancy of your article. So that's the benefit that you can get from that. Okay, so moving on. ACS certification. So as some of you may know, KCS, as it stands for Knowledge Centered Service, is an industry best practice for applying knowledge management in service-centric organization. So whenever you are, when I say service-centric organization, is you perform a service through maybe a task or some or a case or an incident, you can use knowledge to improve that processes. And the way you do it is called to solve and evolve loops. I'm not going to go into a full-on details about what KCS does. You can look it up by searching on KCS practices. But essentially, there are two loops, solve and evolve. In the solve loop, as you are solving an issue, you try to capture as much information as possible and convert that into a knowledge article. Obviously, as you are solving it, you first want to search for knowledge articles. So you search early, search often. If you don't find, create an article, and you create that article in the customer's language, right? So how did the customer try to find for that information? And you try to write that article in that way. You are able to structure, you're able to reuse, and then improve. So through this process, you are, creating content, and in the evolve loop, we are improving that piece of content. So the big news is that we certified ServiceNow Knowledge Management on KCS V6. We are one of the very few products in the market who have been certified on KCS V6, and you can look it up on the KCS Academy site. So as a part of this verification, we use the London product. We did add a few configurations and minor customization on top of the London instance to get ourselves verified. We're going to provide a detailed blog on our community on what configurations were done to certify ourselves, and through the same configurations, customers such as yourselves will be able to uh, have a KCS centric knowledge processes in your organization. So that's KCS. The last thing that I wanted to do is not related to London. This is related to a feature that we talked about in Jakarta, and as referred earlier in the conversation here. We built a knowledge portal UI, and this consists of a knowledge homepage. You have an article view page and a search results page. All of these are highly configurable. This is something that you did not have with the Angular-based UI $knowledge.do earlier, and also this is an area where we are investing heavily in. So, for example, features such as version control or subscriptions are only available to this knowledge portal UI, and this is in upcoming releases will become the de facto area where we'll continue to build new features. And what I wanted to talk about today was how you could leverage these features if you're not ready to transition into the knowledge portal yet, but want to use some of those features along with your service portal, what you could do. So this is a quick snapshot of a page from our documentation site. And what it tells you is what are the configurations that you can do through route maps and various portal configurations to integrate your existing service portal to use the knowledge base features that we have in the KM service portal. So I'll share this link on the community thread as well. And through that, you will be able to access this and also look at how you could leverage this. Obviously, there are a lot of rich features. I didn't mention much about the search results page, but if you look at the search results page, we talked about this in our Jakarta webinar. You see configurable facets, and you can create a facet based upon any field on the um, knowledge table, except for glide lists. And you can also do sort options, customize sort options. Things like alphabetical sort for articles has been a long-standing demand that was also enabled through that in the KM service portal that was released in Jakarta. So those were some high-level things that I wanted to elevate for the knowledge man service portal in this conversation. So with that, I think I wanted to also share where we are with the product. Typically, when we talk about knowledge management, we talk about three sets of features. You have the end user, which is your requesters trying to get information so that they can self-service and try to probably get deflected and not have to create a case. You have your agent experience, where your agents are able to solve issues for their end users. And then we have the core process governance, the knowledge management processes that are there in the system. So anything that is italicized on this one are features that were released in London. At a very high level, you can see here in the end user experience, you have the portal, search facets, subscriptions, which allows users to stay updated about articles, SEO. We also have the ability to search external content, and this was released as a part of our Kingston release. Feel free to go to that webinar and take a look at how we allow you to search external content outside of ServiceNow. Knowledge also is made available through our virtual agent, chatbot features, session tracking. So the click-through reports and the article average click run, those are enabled to session tracking. And there's a lot of data that we capture for future releases where we can actually do some interesting stuff using machine learning with it. Mobile responsive UIs, and on search capabilities, we have seen those features such as stemming, synonyms, IDF, TF-IDF that allows her to give more relevant search results. Process governance, as we shift onto that track, you see multiple KBs, workflows, article versioning, templates, granular access control at the KB level, article and field level. I want to pause there for a second because lot of uh, customers have come back, and then they're having agent facing articles and requester facing articles in two separate knowledge bases. And then we solve that through field level access controls and a combination of that with article templates. So you don't need to actually manage two articles and have one article with a piece of one field in that, which is restricted to one or multiple fields that is restricted to the agent, so that you do not create duplicates and then probably have human error in not updating one or the other. Actionable feedback, we talked about it. AQI, released in Kingston, dashboards, group ownership, and community harvesting. Agent experience, we have contextual search, including communities, dynamic knowledge filtering as a part of contextual search, where we can take us one or many fields from the incident or case, and then use that to filter the knowledge search results. And when you're doing contextual search, you can attach, flag, or fix, or report a knowledge gap. One of our other cases features was in context article creation, also released in Kingston, and then agent assist, we talked about it, and then communities. We also have the ability to create a case from communities, so agents can actually work on specific communities threads which are not getting solved. So that's a high level overview to tie the knot on all the features that we have been working on. We appreciate all your feedback that we have received, and we take your feedback to strengthen our roadmap as well as our product. And so with that, let me jump into Q&A. So Lisa, do we have any questions on the thread?
Currently on the YouTube uh, chat, we haven't seen any questions come in, and let me go ahead and refresh my community link and double check.
All right. Sorry, I did not introduce Lisa. So Lisa is our moderator who helps us do these amazing webinars and coordinates all of these, so that we can reach out to you.
Oh, yes, they always can. So Michael and Pecora, he made a note saying, "Sir, thank you. We'll need to slow this down and digest a bit, but this was very helpful to me." So thank you, Michael. Let's see if we've got any other questions coming in. And again, I did include the community link if you are digesting. It is quite a bit. I know I'm going to be studying that SEO section for a while there too for the metadata.
Right. So if we do not have any questions, that's completely fine, because we know, as Mike has mentioned here, there is a lot of information that we are sharing with you. We do continue to invest very heavily in the knowledge management product. It is one of our top 5 products in terms of usage across ServiceNow customers. So very important for us. And yes, Lisa.
So another question has come in. It says a practical demonstration. Can we have a practical overview or a practical demonstration? I'm not quite sure. Practical. Maybe is it more introductory? A small element. Thank you, Yabak.
Maybe we can take that one offline. I'm assuming that you want a more end-to-end flow between self-service agent experience and the knowledge manager. We may not have sufficient time to go through that, but if UBOC wants to reach out to us, we can schedule that offline.
Oh, okay, that's great. So I'll let him. We can just say right here. If you go to that link on the community, you can just respond to Sarup or myself. I am the one who posted that link, and we'll make sure that you all get connected. And this person writes cool. So that's great.
Awesome. So the conversation will continue. What we have seen is that after folks view this webinar, either live or a recording of it, they do have questions, and you can post those on the community. And we are very responsive on those, and we will get the answers to you so that not only you but other users who are visiting the community and this webinar can benefit from it. With that said, I think let's wrap it up for today. Appreciate all of you joining. Hopefully, it was at an hour that you could make it effective for you. And let's continue the conversations offline on the community. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all so much.